Today I wanted to go over how I go about removing the babies from our smooth stag beetle breeding bins. So I have a few different sizes of containers here. This is a 16-ounce jar, plastic jar I just dremeled out the top for, which you'll see later on, because I stuffed them with flakes of. Just stuff it with a flake, and then as we go through the video, you'll see more and more. I have a bunch of 8-ounce here as well. But let's get into it. I'm just going to remove, I dug a bit of a hole just to see how everybody was doing prior here. So I like to poke, just use a marker or anything. This is the back end of a file, I think it is. I just like to start a little hole for them. And actually, I knocked out this little guy by accident earlier. And this is why I like to separate them. Because as you can see, that little guy at the end of my finger is our baby stag beetle larva. That's how they start out. We're going to find various sizes of larvae throughout this video, and we're going to set them up because I don't want them picking on each other or killing each other off. So I'm just going to take that little guy. I'm going to drop him right in that little hole that I created. Oops, I'm apparently not. So I'm going to take a leaf stem, and I'm going to boop him away from the wall because I don't want to squish him. Oops. Doesn't really want to cooperate. And we're going to boop him right into the hole. 1, 2, 3, boop. And down and in. And we're just going to leave him just like that. Then we're going to do the next step. The wonderful world of coffee filters. So this is going to be our version of ventilation for these. That's why I cut that big hole in the lid. So I take it tight like this, and I just put the lid back on. This will give enough ventilation for the air movement, but it's going to prevent my fungus gnats and annoying creatures like that from getting in there on me. So, now that I've given you a brief rundown, let's get into our bin and see what else we can find. I'm actually going to remove a bunch of these leaves, just because I don't really want to contend with them. So it's been, I want to say, 7 or 8 weeks since we set these guys up in here. The adults have passed at this point, which I was anticipating on because they were sustainably wild collected from a friend of mine. And we had them captive breed in the bins for us, which I think I got in the last video for you guys. And now we're just going to stage 2, kind of show you the whole cycle in which we're maintaining these guys, and we're going to start captive rearing. There's a big one that just popped out. But this is exactly why I wanted to split out our larva sizes and dig them out, because I don't trust that big guy with that little itsy bitsy guy that we just had. Just going through the same process, dropping him in a little hole. He'll dig his way into the flake soil. Not too happy with me right now. Pulls his bum in there. And I'm going to do the same thing as I did with the last one. I'm just going to put the coffee filter on the top and enclose it around. So far I've pulled out, this will be the 16th larva out of this bin. This is the Willy, Brew, and Tammy group that we have. So this is only one group, and we have 16 larvae so far from our breeding behavior. See, and this guy's even bigger. Absolute monster mandibles on him. Because I'm to chew through wood, things like that. And he's pooping on me. But that's why we need to split them out. Because you do get those absolute monsters living in with our little ones, and if he comes across a little one, there's a strong probability he will just munch on him. He's gonna end up in an 8-ounce container, which I'm regretting currently, but that's okay. Oops. We're going to try and get him to go down inside this hole. There is a little bit of surface mold on the top here. Hey, he really doesn't want to cooperate. There's a little bit of mold on the surface of the flake soil in this one. We are going to be reusing some of these copy filters when they're cleaner like this one is. It's not too bad. The brown pigment is just the flake soil tannins that it absorbed during the... I like to cure the containers for about 2 to 3 weeks before I put the larvae inside. As you can see here, some of them are dirty, some of them are clean. I kind of just like to... I go through and try to keep them as clean as possible for as long as possible. If they get really bad and they don't allow any more airflow, that's when I'll change them. Little bits of mold like that aren't going to really affect much of anything, but you really have to be gentle. And you see how this little bit of soil is moving on its own? Well, it's not really moving on its own. We're going to be knocking out a little front here. He's a little bit on the skinny side. He looks like he just molted. He did. He's in the process of molting. So you can see he's really white. And there's this old skin. So he's growing. That's the old shed skin with the head cap and everything. And he's getting closer to his larger size. And he's kind of puking and not very happy with me right now. I'm going to put him off to the side until he's toughens up a bit, because I don't really want to stress him out too much. Bury him. And just remember that he's there. That's why you gotta be really, really gentle when digging through these substrates. So this is literally just flake soil that's been super packed down, which I'm sure if you've seen our other video, when I did set these up, that'll be, it's the exact same setup. I'm just removing babies, as I had mentioned, to try and prevent... Oops. There's a big guy on the bottom there, but there's a medium-sized friend here. And another one over here. So these variable sizes, like this guy sitting by this guy, I really don't want them kept together. For the exact reason that there's a strong probability that big guy will eat the little guy. If food gets scarce or even just spacing. So that's why I'm separating them all out to try and give us the best success rate as far as raising and rearing these guys. Because like I mentioned in the previous video, I would like to get them on a large enough scale that we can be capture producing them, so people can keep them as pets, and we can provide them as pets without any demand on the wild population. And the cool thing about native species is that if it gets to a point where there's too many in my collection, I will end up just releasing some. Again, this guy's huge and he's going into an 8-ounce container. I really wish I would have dug through prior, but that's okay. Little guy digging himself out on his own. He apparently wants to be rehoused already, which is kind of nice. But their skin is very, very soft. So you really want to be gentle when you're doing this, because they'll just tear, and then it's game over. They're dead once their skin tears. So I'm playing very delicately when it comes to this, because I don't really want to be pushing my luck as far as killing any of these guys. I would really like to sustain all of them if I possibly can. Just crushing this little hard block. Figured you guys might find this interesting, and it kind of ties in with our other previous video. I don't know if anyone's ever made content about, well, this stage of rearing them. I keep them in a cool, dry-ish place in the house. This is a prime example of a gross, not usable anymore coffee filter. So I know we're in this area. There's one guy right here. You could do this with like a tool or something. I'd prefer to do it with my finger just because then I know how much pressure I'm applying and things like that. And not squishing anyone. And down and into our little hole. Our pre-made hole that we started for them. In a minute here, I'll pull out... well, once we kind of get through these guys, I'll pull out some of the other ones that I did previous to this. Because I started out with only 12 jars, not realizing that this was going to be such a high success rate for the breeding and larvae. So I didn't particularly anticipate on needing a lot more than what I had at the time. So we're just going to keep going, kind of plugging through, seeing if we can find any other friends who aren't freshly molted. See, here's another one digging himself out. Boop. This is the sustainability that we really hope and strive for when we go into a new breeding project like this. I wasn't too familiar with beetles prior to this point. So I've been learning as I go and kind of flying by the seat of my pants. Doing a lot of reading and, well, documenting all my steps through the way. So you guys can learn at the same time as me. Learn from my mistakes. And hopefully we can both do better. You don't make the mistakes that I made. I think I've left these guys a little bit too long in this container. Like in the bin. I would have liked to have done it probably about 3 to 4 weeks ago for my first go through to see if I could find any of these extra big ones before they got to the size they're at. But I'm not. It kind of is what it is. You just get busy, and that's what the industry's all about, I guess. Keep only to your means. Thankfully, because this bin is all flake soil, it wasn't, it's not like they ran out of food or anything like that. But I still would have preferred to have them separated. Oh, there's a little head. Yeah, it's a noggin. He's trying to pinch me. Funny little creatures. There he is. So again, I try to reuse these coffee filters as regularly as possible with these, if I can. If they're too bad, like I have a couple there that are, they got too coated in the flake soil, so then they got, they clogged up on it. But every once in a while, replace them. Sometimes I do have to replace them after cycling the containers as well, but in this instance I didn't really have that bad of a batch. Oops. We have one. Saw another one. Check that bigger rock or block. Oop. Get number 2. I know there's a third one down here towards the bottom. There it is, number 3. So what I'm going to end up having to do is putting these aside for the time being, like the bin aside, and then have to recheck it in a few weeks to a month to check for, well, any more hatched eggs, because I didn't honestly think that little guy that we found at the beginning was even possible at this point. He was a very delayed hatch. But I think that you guys have seen enough of me boringly digging out beetles. I'm going to grab one of the older jars here, off camera for a second, and I'll show you what they have done. This guy, this is Kinchi, I believe it's called. He's dug himself down. He's pushed his flake soil up to the top like this, has pressure on it now. And there's mushroom mycelium growing in there for him to snack on. They were pulled out August 17th from the same group of Willie, Tammy, and Rue. If you guys have any questions about beetle keeping, isopods, and whatever else we post on this channel, tarantulas, millipedes, anything bug related, let me know in the comments.